right, so welcome back. So we left off when you started telling us about the man you met and you had Paragashad. So.
Oh my! You could actually see the smile on my face because it was such an exciting moment.
Yeah.
Remember, I grew up in the church. So getting into a relationship was like a taboo, so to speak. And of course, I grew up in the Anglican church. In the Anglican church, we had a thing called Kayo. Kayo is a Kenya Youth something, I can't remember.
I think youth organization?
Yes, something like that. So every holiday, or most of the holidays, would go for youth camps. Yeah. And one of the things that they used to teach us about is relationships. Relationships. Yeah. Yes, they used to teach us a lot about relationships. Yeah. So, of course, they told us you need to keep yourself, you need I don't know if you went to church, but there was a lot of stories that were said. Oh, if you bring somebody, if you bring somebody a letter that is open, it's not nice, it needs to be closed, you can take soda which is open, you feel, those things. Yeah. So, anyway, I hope my viewer knows those things.
To keep the letter sealed.
Oh yes, to keep the letter sealed. So I grew up in that kind of space. So I knew that I'm not supposed to do anything. I'm not supposed to relate with a boyfriend. I'm not supposed to have a boyfriend until when it is time for me to get married. And so when I met this guy and we began relating, I now knew this is the man that is going to marry me. Because remember, you're not supposed to have many boyfriends. You're supposed to wait until when you're ready to get married. And that was for me the manual, that it is now time for me to get married. So I'm going to relate with this guy until when we get married.
Yeah. But you said you started off as just friends, right?
Yes. So what does that mean? That I got married to my first love. Yes. Like high school, I didn't have a boyfriend.
Okay, tell us how that progressed. Like, so you left it off where you were going to your cousin's room, and then he would come over.
Yes, then he would come over, and then we started now becoming friends. Of course, to my to my surprise, that this pastor bishop can actually relate with me like a friend.
Yeah, this angel can.
He can relate with me as a friend.
From heaven.
Yeah, and then with time, he's now actually telling me things to do with love and everything. I'm like, oh, okay. So he can actually tell me this. So I actually think these things are godly. And he used to quote scriptures a lot. He's one guy that to date I still think he's very good as far as scriptures is concerned. Yeah, he seemed to understand scriptures very well. And so somehow I looked at him at that particular point. It's somebody I love, somebody I don't mind to have for a husband. But I looked at him as an authority.
So you
as far as spirituality is concerned. Yes, as far as spirituality is concerned. And I would say that I learned a lot, especially the things of God. I did learn a lot from him. Yeah, so everything he said for me was a gospel truth. Remember, he's a bishop from the CU. So anything he says, he will give me a scriptural backing as much as, the way sometimes we quote scriptures out of context.
Yeah, you read just one verse.
I know. Or you give a scripture that is supposed to back whatever you're saying. Yes, and I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to say he wasn't a good man. He was a good man as far as Christianity is concerned. And actually, I would say one of the things that really got attracted me to him is his love for God and how he treated the things of God. Like going to church, it's a must. You have to go in time. You have to go to church dressed in a certain way. It's church, you can't just walk in dressed like, Yeah, and anything to do with the things of God, he took them with a lot of seriousness. Yeah, so like I'm saying, that time, he really helped me. And even when we got married, one of the things that I really respected him for is his love for God. Yeah, I thought he had really grown as far as that is concerned.
Okay, so tell us how you went about until you got married and all that.
So now, like I've said, anything he says is a gospel truth. So one time when we were still in campus, he mentions to me that, oh, I think when we have children, they are going to be very beautiful because you're so beautiful. I'm like, oh, okay. I'd never been told by anybody that I'm beautiful. He was the first person.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, and this is a CU bishop who says I'm beautiful. I must be very beautiful.
Yeah.
And I started feeling nice about myself. And so, like I'm saying, I loved him so much. So much so that if he left me, I suppose I should have taken some rat and rat.
Oh my goodness.
Remember? He's my first boyfriend.
Yeah.
I've never been loved by anybody.
Yeah.
I've never been hugged by a man. I mean, my father was
and then
not
you
that.
feel electricity.
My father was not those men who hug their daughters. So I actually, if I remember right, I think that's the first hug I ever got from a man. And I am telling you, it felt nice. And then he used to, remember, I'm a sanguine. Now, with time, I have learned what kind of people we are based on whatever I've studied later and whatever. But sanguines are people who love to be, you know, appreciated. They are usually the life of the party. So if you show them a lot of concern and you give them a lot of attention, they can be there. So this guy gave me a lot of attention.
And you
oh, I dressed up, and every dress I wore, even though I didn't think it was looking nice, he said, oh, and today you're looking very smart. I'm like, wow, nice, you know. He's a teacher. He was a teacher. He was studying education then. There's something I used to hear in him that even though I listen to him today, I still hear it. Teachers have a tendency of not completing statements. You know?
Yeah, they wait for you to finish it.
They will say, you know, like now when we are going to, and then you're supposed to now complete. I don't know whether you've heard that with teachers. I know your father was a teacher. I don't know whether you heard it from him. But they have a tendency of wanting you to complete statements for them or use the right word and everything. So he used to have that then when we were relating. Or is it something inborn? I don't know. And so I would complete the statement for him. And this is how he would say it. Like, you know, like my sweetheart just said. And then he used that word. As much as I didn't think that was a good word to use in that particular statement. But he'll ensure that he uses that word.
And that would affirm you for sure.
And that gave me a lot of affirmations. Now today, I look back and I know what really got me there. Is some of the affirmations that I lacked in my family of origin. You know? Because I wanted to be affirmed. Maybe from my dad and other male significant figures in my family, which I did not receive. Now, this affirmation...
You were feeding on something that was new to you and you were enjoying it. Right. It's exciting.
And that's the reason why I thought, oh my God, this must be an angel.
Okay, so tell us. So now you go ahead and... Tell us even about the marriage. So we did it. We finished campus. I was doing a diploma, so I finished within 3.5 years. He was doing a degree. So we finished around the same time, though he had been to school like 2 years before me. I joined the university 2000. He had joined 1998. And so we cleared the same time. We graduated on the same day. For me, my course was very competitive, so immediately I got into internship and I got a job. For him, he struggled a little bit to get into the job market, but he eventually did. But by the time we were clearing campus, we had already known that we love each other and we want to get married. So we cleared campus, stayed for how many years? I think 2 years. And then we got married. Yeah, and all along, I was excited about the relationship. Of course, there are things I saw. If you ask me, did you see any red flag? Many of them. But then they were not red. Those were just roses. Red roses.
Red roses. Yeah, they were not flags. They became flags later. But then they were just roses.
Where did you do your wedding?
Where did we do our wedding? We did our wedding in Nairobi. Yeah, we did it. In fact, when I wanted to get married, and get married. Like, I have to get married. Remember, I have been waiting for this guy all this time. I was told never to unseal the envelope.
So the envelope was waiting to be opened.
Oh, yes. So we are now saying we need to get married, and my parents are like, no, you need to go back to school and study. In fact, I remember then my dad wanted me to come and study in the US. And I said, my dad has suggested that I come to the US and study, and then I come back. And he said, what do you mean? Go to the US and leave me? Okay, if you have to go, I will not stop you, but I will say bye-bye to you in the airport. I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah, I can't wait for you. You, if you want to go, it's okay, you can go. But just know we are going to part ways in the airport. And I'm like, how now?
Forget US.
And then I love this guy. I would rather not go to that US. I'd rather not go to that US. So I remember when we were planning for our wedding, there was a lot. I have 2 older siblings that were also having their weddings. Our firstborn sister had a wedding in I wanted to do my wedding in 2005. My older sister, our firstborn, had a wedding in 2005. My brother, who is older than me, had a wedding in 2005.
Wow, you had 3 weddings.
So we had 3 weddings in our family. And it's not like an extended family, it's our family. And we come from a very small family. My father was an only child. So my dad is like, you know what? One of you have to. And for sure, it's you that is not going to do your wedding.
You're the youngest.
I'm the youngest. And of course, my issue has come later than after the others. And I remember telling my dad, when we were studying, did anybody stop schooling because the other one is in school? I have to get married and I must get married now. And I remember my mother asking me, are you pregnant?
I said, no.
And I'm like, Mom, how can you even think like that of me? Don't you know I'm born again? And my dad, I remember him sitting me down and saying, anybody who is in this kind of a rush, it's either 2 things. Either you're pregnant or you're traveling out of the country, and so you want to have your wedding before you leave, because your visas and the air ticket are ready and you need to leave. So which of the 2? And I said none. He said, then if there is none, just wait. Let your sister have her wedding, your brother, then you can have your wedding the following year.
Wow. So
of course, I was like, okay, I don't like it. I thought my dad didn't like me for that. And so when we were asked, so when do you want to have your wedding? Anytime next year. And please don't say January, because January we will all be broke and busy trying to, like, people are taking their kids back to school. Guess what? We took the first weekend of February.
Wow. Oh, yeah, you are serious.
That's how serious we were. Yes, we wanted to get married.
At least it fell on Valentine. No?
Yeah, it was 11th of February. And Valentine's was 14th. So during our honeymoon, we were celebrating Valentine's.
Good. It turned out good.
Yeah, so that was how eventually we got married.
Did you get your dream wedding?
Okay, number 1, I did not even have a dream wedding. I never even dreamt that this is how my wedding. I wanted to get married. Yes, in church. Whatever it is going to take, I wanted to get married. So I didn't even think that this is what I want to see on my wedding day, or this. Remember, an essentials. But I remember one of the things that was very significant during our wedding is that we got support from God. Like from God. What do I mean from God? Sometimes you can say, I had family, I had friends who really came through for me. For us, we didn't have that. God touched strangers to support us during our wedding. A lot happened. Like, we had a best couple who withdrew the last minute. So we were left without a best couple. That best couple was the pastor of my husband then, or rather my boyfriend then. And so he left that church, went to another church. So in this church he went to, we are remaining like 1 month to the wedding. We know nobody there.
Wow.
So somebody introduced him to the bishop. The bishop called us in his office and he said, how do you want us to participate in your wedding? And I remember him telling the bishop, you are our pastor now. Just do what you do to your flock. And I remember Bishop telling people to support us. He said, these people are having their wedding. It's in 1 month's time. Please support them.
What church are you going to, if you don't mind me asking?
Yes, we are going to a church called Gospel Assembly Church. Today they call it House of Transformation. It's a big church in Kenya. We also have quite a number of branches here in America. We have one in Arizona. We have they have one in, let me not say we, because I no longer belong there. There is one in Arizona, there is one in Pennsylvania, that's in Pittsburgh, there's one in Atlanta, there's one in New York. So I would say it's a big church.
It's a big one,
Yes. The bishop is one, he's still our friend. He's still my friend. The other day he came here in Arizona and we had some time together. He's called Bishop A.A. Rutivi.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's a good man of God. So he really supported, I mean, he made people support us. And that's why I say God really came through for us.
Anybody remember in particular that
supported us? Now, let me tell you why I say for sure God sent people. So he, exactly 1 month to the wedding is when a couple friend of ours who had introduced us to that church, we had asked them to best our rather to be our best couple. Then they said they were not in a position to. They introduced us to another couple. Of course, can you imagine somebody coming and telling you that we have these new people in church, they're joining the church and they're having a wedding in a month's time, please be their best couple. Can you imagine somebody telling you that?
It's not common.
It's not common. So, this particular lady asked another lady. The lady said, no, that's not possible. We don't even know who they are. I mean, how do you best somebody who you don't even know? And then the lady told that lady, or rather our friend told the lady, okay, let me talk to your husband. So, she spoke to the husband. He's called Peter. Said, oh, we call him boss. Say, boss, I have two friends who came to church the other day. They don't have a best couple and they're looking for somebody who can best their wedding. And boss said, okay, we can do it with my wife.
Wow, so that was divine.
I know. And the wife was like, how? What do you mean? You don't even know who they are. You don't even know their faith and everything. Then boss is like, but what is wrong with that? They are children of God. I mean, what does it entail?
That's the love of Christ.
I know. So this guy, he came through for us with his family. They supported us. I remember on the wedding day, my husband then, they bought for him from the shoe to the socks to the suit to the shirt to the tie. I mean, he was fully dressed.
Wow.
He just went to one shop, like, choose what you want.
And you know, normally, if I'm not wrong, it's the bridegroom that buys for the...
I don't even know what happened.
For the best couple.
We didn't even have money. So the best couple, they bought their clothes and they bought for... For me, I had a gown. They bought for him his clothing. And then they supported us. They gave us money. They did so much for us. Now, today, that couple, we are still very good friends. Very good friends. So that my children actually think that their son and daughter are their older siblings. So if my children are told to write a composition today, they talk about their older siblings who are the children of this couple. And to date, we are very good friends. They have been a very big support for us. We have been connected and we feel more of family than friends. So awesome. That is one of the persons that really supported us. We have many others, like the bishop, you know, telling people to marshal behind us and support us. There was a couple that also helped us a lot. During our wedding, we had only asked 3 or 4 people to give us vehicles. Remember, for me, I didn't care about the wedding. What I cared for is the marriage, the marriage to happen. But people brought their cars to church. Like they just drove. We hear there's a wedding in church. You can have my car. You can have my car. So we had many cars in the church, awesome. In the wedding. We had planned to have 500 people in the wedding. We got about 700. So the food was not even enough. Because can you imagine 200 more than you had planned for? So somehow, today I go back to the wedding that was, and I think it was a beautiful wedding. It exceeded my expectations.
That's awesome. So how about the marriage? Now
so we got married, and I became happy to finally open the envelope, whatever that means.
This envelope we've been keeping all this time.
Yes. And we started living well.
Yeah.
We started from a very humble place. Very humble. Humble to the fact that when we started, he didn't have a job. I had just gotten a job with the government, and the government doesn't pay for the first 6 months when you get a job. That is in Kenya. So none of us had a salary. Our best couple came through for us. They paid our house rent for a few months, but I think within the first 3 months, our salaries were released. So we started getting some small little income.
Yeah.
So we started from, I would say, zero.
Yeah.
Zero. None of us had much.
So a quick question. You said you were not looking forward to the wedding. But was the marriage everything you expected or hoped it to be?
Now, this is where I'm beginning. Yeah. So we begin from, as far as finances are concerned, zero. From scratch, we start growing up, growing slowly. But by God's grace, we caught up very fast. Yeah. Because within the first year of marriage, we had managed, we were able to rent a good house for ourselves. We were able to buy a car. And I would say, to begin with in my marriage, I had thought, this is what I was looking for. Yes, not to say that I did not have challenges 1 and 2, but I thought that is what I was actually looking for.
Most of it was good, yeah?
Yes. I would say if I was supposed to rate from 0 to 10, I would say that I would rate it at 8. That's a good one. Was good, That's a good one, yeah. So, remember, this is something very new to me. Yeah. This thing is very new. I've never had a boyfriend. I've not had an experience with any man. This is the first man I'm meeting. Remember, he was an authority to me when we met. So every direction I'm told to take, I take it. Because he knows it all. What attracted me a lot is his love for God. And so everything he says, it must be inspired of the Holy Spirit. So I follow to the letter. And for me, I never saw it as a problem. And God gives us kids. And we get our first baby girl. And we raise her well. And within, I think, the second year of our marriage, we buy a business, which I was running. We bought a clinic, which I was running. And within no time, I was financially stable. Because we were running, the business was doing well. Yeah. Then he also was in the sales and marketing. He was working with the insurance company. Yeah. And he also picked up very well. Yeah. So within the first, I would say 3 years of our marriage, we were doing very well.
So indeed the favor of God was upon
It was upon us. Yeah. I remember we did our wedding in 2006. In 2010, so that's the third year. 2007, we gave birth to our firstborn. 2008, 2009, 2010, we had been able to buy our house. We were both driving. I was running a good business that was giving me at least 300,000.
Oh, that was good.
At the end of the month. Yeah. And I'm talking about profit margin. I'm not talking about my expenses, my overheads. My normal sales would be between 700 to 1 million. So the business was doing very well. And it was also doing very well in the insurance. And we were doing very well in the ministry. By that time, we had already joined ministry. We were well-founded. We were both ushers in the church. Yeah. Eventually, we started running a cell group, which he was leading. The cell group grew. It grew to a level that it couldn't be contained in somebody's house. And as a result of that cell group, we opened a church. Wow. And so, we were pastors. I was Mrs. Pastor. Nilikuwa mama kanisa. Yeah, so I would say the first 5-7 years of marriage.
Yeah, it was bliss.
It was bliss. But now today I look back, I see things that I should have known was not bliss, but I thought it was. Because again, of the person that I had known. Yeah. So even when things began to change, I never changed that picture. So I kept on upholding something that was not there to be upheld.
Okay, so maybe we'll tie up with the good stuff, and then when you go to the next section, now you enlighten us on what unfolded that made you realize that it was not that ignorance.
I know, it was not all rosy. Yeah.
All right. So thank you.
Yeah.
So we'll be waiting for the next episode to hear all about it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. This is a good opportunity maybe for me to speak out some of the things that I've experienced.
Yeah.
But let me say something that for me, I wouldn't just want to tell people who I am and how I grew up and what my story has been for me.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can listen to anybody's story. A story is told all the time, especially when people die.
Especially when you're African. We always used to listen to stories.
Or when people die, there's always the eulogy.
Yeah.
So somehow everyone has a story.
Yeah.
Of course, nobody goes into details, and we only say the good things about the story.
Yeah.
But I one of the reasons why I would want to be in this space is so that I can speak to somebody who probably have gone through the same kind of experience like I have, and they are still stuck somewhere, wondering, is this thing ever changing? Or because of what my experience has been in life, today I'm a different person. That's the reason why I have the courage to actually sit and tell my story, and we can actually release it to the public and everyone can hear my story. But I would want to speak to somebody who either could have gone through the same experience and have not been able to unfold the mysteries in all these things. You know? Maybe to either understand or maybe open their eyes or say that it was God's will for them to be in that space. So for me, it's not to tell somebody, no, you need to be in this space or in that space. But it's to help people understand some of the mysteries we have in life that until we understand them, we might continue blaming ourselves or blaming God or blaming the society or blaming the government because somehow we blame the government. Yes, tunaomba serikali. Blaming the government or whoever they want to blame for some of the issues that they have experienced in life. So maybe as I come towards the end of my story, I'll now begin to relate my experience and the person that I became, and I would tie it to how I grew up, what it meant for me to be a last born, what it meant for me to be in a boarding school when I was still very young, what it meant for me to be raised in a home where I was never affirmed by a parent. So this, it's not just for another woman, it could even be for a man who is raising girls and has not known the need to affirm a girl. Maybe this can be for a career person who is really growing and blooming in their career, but they are still having another side of their life which they are not able to get themselves out of the quagmire. So as we get along, for me, my issue is not to expose anybody or to say this was my story or expose myself, but to help and speak for somebody else to see different ways of looking at life.
Just to come to the 360 or full circle.
Because as we continue, you will learn that I not only did medicine and became a medic, but somehow I evolved and I went into mental health. And I'll tell you why and how I got myself into the mental health.
I'm excited to hear all about it. All right, so we'll wrap it up for now and then we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Okay.